Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back with you guys just 3 hours after I posted this morning's 8 a.m. Arsenal transfer show with another Arsenal transfer show because there is big news breaking. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal have submitted a £60 million bid for Ecuadorian international and Brighton midfielder MOISES CAICEDO. Now, of course, what usually happens, I do the 8 a.m. show, I sit back, enjoy the rest of my day, round up all the Arsenal news the following day. But this was too big to not talk about. And so therefore I'm jumping on. Well, I've got a spare hour, less than that actually. I've got probably about half an hour to talk about this because then I've got to shoot off to the train station I was about to say to drive. Imagine if I'd managed to learn how to drive a train, but no, to get the train up to Manchester to watch tonight's game and work tonight's game for Football London, Arsenal playing Manchester City in the FA Cup fourth round, of course. But I had to jump on. Because this is quite big, of course. So let's just cover what's been talked about. Let me get the screen up for you so you know exactly what we're talking about here. Arsenal, according to Fabrizio Romano, have submitted a £60 million bid to sign MOISES CAICEDO as a new midfielder. Chelsea had a £55 million verbal proposal rejected this January as Brighton hoped to keep the player. But Arsenal are now pushing. Negotiations are entering into key stages for Caicedo's future. This would obviously be a massive, massive deal for Arsenal, a significant deal indeed, as we know that El Neni is injured. We know that Arsenal have wanted to strengthen the midfield, and we've been being linked to the likes of Weston McKennie. We've been linked to Amadou Onana. We've been linked to Ibrahim Bamba. And obviously, there is a question mark with this because Caicedo, by trade, is more of a number 8, but he can play at number 6. In fact, we're going to look at some of the statistics for him this season at this very moment in time. We're going to shoot over now to Wyscout and get some of Wyscout's quick looks at the player for this season. So you should be able to see on your screen. I'll zoom in for you so it's more accessible. There we go. So let's look at 22-23. And where Caicedo has typically played for Brighton this season. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, by the way, everybody joining us in the chat box. Hope you're doing well. Yes, everyone's seen his tweet and they're jumping on to have a chat. So do drop a like, of course. This is very spontaneous, but would appreciate the support. So do drop a like and subscribe, as always. The YouTube etiquette being kept to. So yes, this season, as you can see from his heat map, playing very much in that box-to-box style that we expect, and typically playing slightly further forward on that left-hand side, would be a very good competitor for Granit Xhaka, like by trade. But, of course, we can see a situation where we might be seeing Caicedo cover in the deeper position. Now, I think this is an interesting one by Red Star, who says a Sambi swap. Now, I don't think I can see Sambi Lokonga go in the opposite direction. Who knows? Maybe. I doubt it. I think we want depth. But this deal almost certainly puts pay to Lokonga's future. Like I can't see Lokonga being at Arsenal with Caicedo potentially here as well. That would seem a little bit odd, would it not? So yes, but big news regarding Caicedo here. Let's have a look at some of his stats for this season. Of course, I don't have time to put together a tactical breakdown, and of course, we will do that should this deal look like it's getting any closer. But let's have a look at his defensive stats for this season. We'll change this to Premier League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, so that we get all of the current season. So 58.8% success rate in his defensive duels, and he's taking place in 7.29 defensive duels per 90, which is good. Interceptions, 3.46 interceptions per game. Loses the ball around 7.56 times per game, but recovers it 9.25 times, and 43.8% of those recoveries happening in the opposition's box, which is very, very good indeed. So far this season, how many yellow cards? 7 yellow cards. Let's have a look at Premier League yellow cards. He's got 5. Of course, he served that suspension actually against Arsenal, as we know. So he would be 5 yellow cards away from missing 2 games in the Premier League, and that could happen at Arsenal. But yeah, that's just in the Premier League for this season. let's have a look at kind of his passing and have a look at his passing statistics. So passes this season, 90.8% pass accuracy. Passes into the final third, 7.02 he's averaging, which is really good. 83.8% as well, very progressive, like that. In terms of passing into the penalty area, 1.78, 74.4%. Again, that direct nature of his passing also really good to see. Forward to backward pass ratio 14.81, forward passes to 8.84 backward passes. Progressive, nearly double the amount of forward to backward passes there, so that's also really strong. Shot assists, hopefully that'll be in the attacking section. Here we go. Yeah, so shot assists 0.62, so he's nearly averaging one pass that leads to a shot per game, which is nice, but it is quite sporadic, as you can see from that graph. Goals and assists this season, 1 goal, 1 assist, playing in kind of that box-to-box role so far. XG of 0.71, so he scored more than you'd expect. In terms of his XA, did we just quickly miss that on the passing side of things? His XA is 1.04. So again, he's delivered about what you would expect from his assist. He's got 1 assist also so far this season. Dribbling-wise, 1.5 dribbles, success rate of 51.5 so far this season as well. So there's some really good stuff. I also want to take a look at his FB Ref page too. So let's have a quick check over at FB Ref, MOISES CAICEDO. Here we are. So you should be able to see that on your screen as well on the left-hand side. So in terms of his progression, his passing progression is in the 59th percentile there. His completion 79%. You'll see some differentiation, by the way, between kind of the statistics per 90 between FB Ref and Wisecout, because they use their own metrics and measuring data stats. In terms of defensively, though, he comes out really well. 83rd percentile for tackles, 77th percentile for interceptions, and he comes out well in blocks as well, in 69th percentile. So I think he does have those kind of those traits, despite playing slightly further forward than the number 6 role than we've been used to, or that we've been wanting from in that midfield area. That what we're seeing here is a player that can play both 6 and 8, even though he's been playing in the 8 position. I think this is an ambitious move from Arsenal. I think this is a really positive thing to see from Arsenal. It shows you the money that's there. Of course, we didn't get the big main priority signing of Mudryk in the window because he went to Chelsea for a massive fee, but it obviously showed that we have a lot of money available still in this window. He's still what? How old? He is 21. He turns 22 in November. Still very young. Fits completely in with the style that we've been looking to. In terms of his future and what he said about his future, I think he did a reasonably recent interview where he said he was settled, but I haven't necessarily seen any update on that. I'm trying to find the quotes as I type now. So there you go. Now, what we should say about this bid is that I would be shocked if it's accepted. Just going to put that out there. Sorry to pee on people's cornflakes here, but I would be surprised, very surprised, if this is accepted. There is an understanding that Brighton are looking for far more than the £55 million that Chelsea bid for the player. And to go 5 million more than Chelsea did and expect this deal to get done is a reach, if I'm honest, is a reach. I don't expect this to be accepted. I think it's a good first offer. If we are intending to go back, it might be just kind of keeping the feelers out, if you like, a bit. But yes, I like that we're going in with an ambitious bid. I like that this is a move that we're doing. I hope that this is a deal that can get done. It would be great. Now, I want to get some of your thoughts, of course. This being an engaging and interactive show, I want to get some of your thoughts. So let's go into the chat box and see what you're saying. Lewis says, if we get him, wow. Chelsea overspent to get Mudryk, to get a winger, and then they have loads. He'd outdo them, beef up our midfield options while they're still seen, whilst they're still then with look at kind of that area. Edu playing 4D chess while Bowley playing with just playing normal chess, I guess. Akshat says, on one hand, exciting stuff. On the other hand, it's Brighton. They'll demand an extortionate amount, maybe upwards of close to £75 million and more. Also, Peeping Todd will bid like 150 million with a 50-year contract, and that'll be that. The hope will be the advantage that Arsenal have got, and there are a couple of things that Arsenal have got. First is the obvious one. We're in the lead in the league. We're in a great position. We can sell this project to Caicedo. You've got 2 players in Arsenal's midfield at the moment in Xhaka and Partey, who, of course, Caicedo will come in and believe that he can compete in either position and push to try and take over for the long term. And there is a long-term pathway for him at the club. The other thing is that we have a really good relationship with Brighton. Obviously, we've just pulled off the Trossard deal. We've just done that. And of course, we did that pretty swiftly, and it wasn't kind of, we didn't mess Brighton around. They said what they wanted, and we paid it, and we got the deal done. We've also got a good relationship from the Ben White deal that we did. I can't remember the guy's name at Brighton, but we have a very good relationship with the guy there through Richard Garlick. Richard Garlick, of course, who's the head of football operations at Arsenal. They have a good relationship, a good standing between the teams. And you would hope that that would stand us in a good position. If Arsenal can get this done, one, I will be laughing at Chelsea so much because obviously they've just given us so much stick for the Mudryk situation. And I'll be honest, if you told me that I can have Trossard and Caicedo or Mudryk, I tell you, I would have been leaning more towards Trossard and Caicedo. Now, I have a habit, and I'm going to be very honest, I have a very big habit of getting overexcited about things very, very quickly. So don't take this excitedness, optimism as me saying, look, this is something that I think we can get done, because I'm going to be very blunt and honest and say that I'm leaning more towards this not happening than happening. I'm excited because I love us being proactive. I love us being aggressive in the market. I love us doing something like this because it shows that ambition and the need to try and hopefully get something done. Let's see what happens. Felix says, hey, Tom, would you rather overspend on Caicedo or bring in someone else for a good price? As in would Caicedo be your number one midfield option? It's a great question. And the question, I think, leads into thought processes of who are you going to buy that's going to be more than that? Does Caicedo rule out Declan Rice? Is a question you've got to ask. Does that rule out potential for Declan? Because for me, when I look at Declan Rice, do I play him where Partey plays? Probably. Could I see him play where Xhaka plays? Probably. He's athletic. I think he can take his game to another level at Arsenal. And I think he wants to move to Arsenal. But could I also see Caicedo and Rice playing together? Yes, I could. I could see Caicedo and Rice playing together. And I could see Caicedo operating as a 6 and Rice in the 8. And I could see that vice versa, to be honest. They're both strong enough, I think, in both roles that they could both operate there. But imagine Arsenal having a core at the moment of Partey, Xhaka, and Caicedo, and then in the summer you add Rice to that, and wow, you've suddenly got a really good number of options. And if you look at Manchester City's options, they've got Rodri and they've got Calvin Phillips, who they spent, close to 40, 50 million pounds on as kind of competitive options there. And then they've got Gundogan and they've got Bernardo Silva, who can play on that left-sided position. You've got experienced options and you've got kind of the more coming through options there as well. In defensive midfield, they've got two very good immediate options. But yeah, I think that it doesn't. I don't think it completely rules out the Rice deal, but I do think it would have an impact on it. I think it would have an impact on that. So you've also got to think about Emil Smith-Rowe, and I see O'Malley here saying spot on, Tom. I think it does rule out Rice because Smith-Rowe would be an interior player potentially as well. Who knows what will happen with Smith-Rowe, but it's interesting. Ben says, Tom, please do not laugh at sick Todd, as such intimidation might trigger madness in him. You do not want to engage with a lunatic like that. Hey, look, peeping Todds, as we've called him, you never know what he's going to do. You never know. Alex Crook, as reported, says Rahil that AFC would not get Caicedo for 60 million and Brighton don't want to sell during this window. As I have said a number of times, I would be very surprised if Arsenal were able to get this deal done at 60 million. I think they would have to go higher. It's a good bid. As I say, it's a good opening bid. You've also got the situation, as Osman points out on Twitter here, that Chelsea are trying to do the Enzo Fernandez deal. They would probably go back in for Caicedo if they don't get that done. Arsenal would have to go higher. It depends how much they want him. It depends how much they are willing to pay for him. If they're willing to pay 70 million, maybe they could get that done. Maybe Brighton would consider selling at 70 million. Bear in mind that they bought Caicedo for, I think it was something like £4 to £5 million in 2021. They then loaned him to Belgium where he got more experience. And of course, he then came back and has started playing. Was it 2020 they signed? Let me have a quick check on that. He joined Brighton in 2021. He went on loan to Beerschot and then returned in January of 2022. So he spent 6 months in Belgium and then, of course, played through the second half of the season and then, of course, into this season as well. So he's played plenty of football in the Premier League. We know that. He's Premier League ready. He wouldn't need any transition time in the same way that someone signing from outside the Premier League would. If Arsenal are willing to go to 70, they might be able to get it done. But maybe we're poking the Chelsea bear a little bit, says Mysterious Billionaire. We are just poking Todd Bowley to go on another madness. I love the fact that we're competing for these types of players. This isn't the type of business you would see from Arsenal in the past. We did hear whispers for a while that Arsenal were considering this deal. Was it Sam Dean? Moises Caicedo? I think it might have been. Yes. So Sam Dean reported in the Telegraph. When was this done? This was reported on January 23rd, 2 days ago. Sam reported that Arsenal could challenge Chelsea, for Brighton's £75 million Moises Caicedo. Now, he quotes there £75 million. I don't know whether or not. Brighton are thought to want a fee of more than £75 million for Caicedo, who in recent months has emerged as one of the top Premier League midfielders. So Sam reckons that they want more than £75 million to get this done. If they can get that done, amazing. But as I've said before, I'm not necessarily optimistic about this and about this happening. 60 million is a good first offer. I think it will be rejected. I think we can all expect it to be rejected. It's about whether or not Arsenal are willing to go in big between now and then. There's also a really big point on this, is that Brighton don't have a replacement. And they will be, I think, a bit concerned about the fact that they don't have a replacement. With other players, they've had replacements ready. So for Trossard, they already had Mitoma there. They've got Sarmiento as well coming through, so that they had replacements ready, and Trossard also was already going out. Caicedo, I'm looking at their midfield now, courtesy of Transfermarkt. They've got Tuda Baluta, who I don't think has played much at all this season. Hold on, why is it still saying... That's not right. Hold on. This is the transfer page I'm looking at. Trust me to look at the wrong page at the wrong time. Here we go. So midfield, they've got Alexis McAllister, Moises Caicedo, Jakub Moder, who is currently out injured with a ligament rupture, so he's not going to be back. They've got Billy Gilmour, who replaced Caicedo when they played us. Obviously, they've got Pascal Gross, but they don't have anyone else at the moment. So... yeah, that's the problem with this. There's options. People in the chat box are saying send Lokonga on loan back that way. Maybe you could offer Lokonga in the opposite direction. I don't know if they would go for that or not, but that's a potential option. I think Lokonga would be open to that. You got to think he's going to play minutes at Brighton this season, but then you got to think about he must be so annoying for him. You're seeing Caicedo coming the other direction, but it's a potential offering that they could send him on loan, or maybe even as a permanent move. Maybe even as a permanent. I don't think that's a bad idea from people suggesting that. I think it's unlikely that would happen. You just don't tend to see Arsenal doing that type of deal. But Sambi Lokonga in the opposite direction, Caicedo in £60+ million. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea from people in the chat box at all. I see a lot of people are nervous about Chelsea, of course, still being involved. Effie says this will hurt Chelsea if they miss out on Enzo. This winter, it's over for them. Enzo will join PSG in that case. Brighton are interested in Haidaris, a great point. They do have an interest in him. Maybe he's the right person to replace him. He does play in kind of a box-to-box midfield role, so that would make sense. Interesting indeed. I'm going to wrap things up there. As I said, I can only jump on for a quick show. I would have loved to do a phone-in show and get people's thoughts on this, but I have got to get the train up to Manchester for this evening, so I'm going to be going up there. I look forward to speaking. Well, obviously there'll be a press conference after the game. Kaya will be in there. It'll be interesting to get people's thoughts after the game on this link, and of course, hopefully we can get some more information about this as the day progresses. As I say, I expect this deal will be rejected. I hope that Arsenal push on and that we'll be emboldened by this as well. Let's wait and see. It's exciting times. Really good, strong end to the window we're hoping for. And yes, do drop a like on the video before you leave. I hope you've enjoyed this very brief update on Caicedo and the news that has dropped as well. So yeah, subscribe if you're new. I'll be back with a show reacting to the Man United game uploaded at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and then of course back further with more reaction to it on Sunday. So have a fantastic Friday evening. Enjoy. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'll speak to you soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.